Hello and welcome to the 6th episode of Ashley Haden's Political Breakdown, a pointless show where I try to make it seem like my week has been useful. Guests with me this week are...
Louise Atkinson.
And...
Lucy Fredrick.
Fantastic. How have your weeks been?
Fine.
Good, that's covered that. Where are we going to start? Who's got news for me? Either of you?
I mean, I wanted to talk about the bread thing, but I don't think that's appropriate as a starting point.
Oh, you can? Yeah, go on.
Yeah, talk about the bread thing. I like the bread thing.
Yeah, it's good, isn't it?
Oh,
A woman, and this was on BBC News, this is official news, bought what she thought was a normal loaf of bread, but it turned out just to be the ends of the loaf, and she was utterly devastated because she couldn't feed her children. That was what was written in the article.
I really wish that she brought it from Waitrose.
I originally think it was organic and it was hefty because it's like sourdough. No, it's just a Kingsmill love and you're a knob.
The best thing about that story, like we were saying before, is the fact that took somebody had to actually like engineer that. That hasn't happened by accident. Yeah. Someone has gone, right, bollocks to you.
It's not only that, she has felt the need to complain to a journalist. That's how outraged she's been. She's like, I need to get this out there. This cannot happen to anyone again. They cannot suffer such an atrocity.
Hashtag mother's pride.
Do you want to we can move on to something more political?
Yeah, I'm gonna because we got that out of the way, didn't we? Should we start with Danny Baker?
Oh, Danny Baker.
Yeah,
you idiot. I think this is really interesting because it's obviously divided the nation.
Everything divides the nation.
It's divided the nation into most people who think, oh, Danny Baker, that was a bit racist and you're probably going to lose your job. Oh, you have lost your job. And then a small portion of the people who went, oh, no, he's not racist. He's just a bit silly.
I think it's more thirds because you've also got the other side who go, kill him.
Yes.
Absolutely kill him. He should never be allowed to work anywhere again.
Kill him to death.
He's done a racist thing, and as we all know, he's lost his job, but that's not enough. He needs to fucking be pelted with eggs like fucking Stephen Yaxley Lennon and fucking kicked into the Thames.
Why is it always eggs?
Because they're...
it used to be like rotten fruit and stuff.
Milkshakes now.
Oh, of course, it's milkshakes because you need to bring people to the yard.
It's got to be dairy.
Yeah.
It's got to be dairy.
Yeah.
I mean, there's nothing wrong with chucking milkshakes on a fascist. There's absolutely nothing wrong. I just hope that the fucker's lactose intolerant. You know, only thing that would make it better
is a rash.
Yeah, that's it. That is it. Gets covered in fucking milkshake, comes out in a rash, and ends up getting diarrhea. What a fucking great day all round for everyone. I couldn't think of anything nicer to happen to that absolute shit.
Are you still talking about Tommy Robinson, or are you
Tommy Robinson? Not Tommy Robinson,
not
Stephen Yaxley Lennon. I'm not calling him by his fucking character act.
Oh.
His name's Stephen Yaxley Lennon. Everyone wants to carry on the fact he's got a double-barreled name. He's a cunt. That's his fucking name, not Tommy Robinson. It's fucking thing, because I always get it confused with Tommy and Tony Robinson's lovely.
Yeah, he seems all right.
He seems fine.
I've never met him.
I didn't think he'd be getting a load of accidental tweets meant for Tommy Robinson, but now I'm concerned.
Tommy Robinson.
It's just when I if I'm not thinking and I say it, I tend to say Tony because he's the person I would rather talk about.
That's fair.
And so it's always Stephen Yaxley Lennon. That's his name. I'm sick to death of everyone going, oh, Tommy, no. Stephen Yaxley Lennon.
All right.
Let's call him by his actual fucking name.
Right. Stephen Yaxley Lennon sounds like a sort of character in a book from the 70s.
He also has the opinions of someone...
in a book from the 70s.
Yeah. Someone who hasn't got over the fact that everyone's taken down the posters that say no blacks, no dogs, no Irish.
Yeah.
He's still not over that fact. It also pisses me off about the generations... above mine who go on about how fucking snowflakey millennials are. Like, you used to have to put up posters saying no blacks, no dogs, no Irish, and we're the fucking ones who are fucking snowflakes. Piss off, mate. You couldn't handle someone with a different colour or fucking someone you could pet. A dog you can pet. You can't pet people. Don't pet
Please
people.
Don't pet people.
If you learn anything from this, don't start petting people.
People aren't pets.
Especially minorities. Come on, don't do that.
Stop touching their hair.
Awful.
Just don't touch people.
Yeah, please.
That's quite a rule, I think.
Yes. It's a good rule, you know.
Just don't touch people.
Don't touch people. Don't lick people on the underground.
No. What? Is that not allowed?
No.
Oh.
You see, I mean, sometimes when I'm in a playful mood, which is occasionally, I've been known to be in a playful mood. You know, no one's ever seen it, but it's in my mind. And so when I'm on the underground, someone's got their hand right there, and you've got a seat, and someone's got their hand right there, going, I could lick that.
What?
I mean, we all have thoughts, don't we? You know.
Is this something you've ever carried?
No. I despise people, so I don't like being touched either. So I think.
Not even on your tongue?
No. I'm fine being touched nowhere apart from the tap.
Oh, okay. Anyway, Danny Baker.
Yeah, coming back to the Danny Baker thing. Do you think he did mean to do it, or it was a genuine accident?
I can't imagine he meant to be racist. I can't imagine for it. But then I think that's probably just me, and I'm like, why would anybody want to do that? I think he's an idiot. He's always been quite class. Sort of motivated, isn't he? I think as a comedian, as a disc jockey, he's always been quite sort of class motivated, and so I imagine being charitable and benevolent, that it was probably it was a sort of a lampooning the royal classes joke was his intention. But I don't understand how you can live in the modern world and think that posting a picture of a tiny chimpanzee was in any way appropriate.
Because that's it, to put that much thought into it. It wasn't a flippant comment, and I don't believe it to be a flippant tweet. To have that knowledge and that experience, but to not incorporate that factor.
At the very least, he's Googled that picture.
Exactly.
He's Googled it to find it and thought, it'd be funny.
Yeah, I mean, he lost his job. That's the right thing.
Yeah, well,
he apologised in.
He didn't send he wasn't particularly good as an apology, though. It was sort of half-assed.
No, the second one the day after was a very good apology.
Oh, I apologise. I didn't know that one.
But I mean, no, it was good. It was an apology that said, like, this is my fault. I fucked up. I do not have these views, but I messed up at all of this. It's my fault. And that term of apology I actually like, because what we tend to find nowadays with people apologising is, I'm sorry if you got offended. And
yes, so you feel that way. Yeah. Oh, that's the thing. And that's the thing in my personal life that triggers me right there. I'm really sorry if you were upset.
Yeah. Like, turn
You'll
around.
be sorry I'm upset in a minute. I'm going to fucking mow your face off.
Mow your face off. Mow it off.
I did say melt, but mow is better.
Mow, just going into B&Q on a Friday. Step here, flower. Let's go. Fucking hell.
Sorry, I got triggered. But yes, I totally agree. I'm sorry if other people were upset. Is a shit apology.
That's not an apology. That's
no.
I'm sorry for your issues.
Yes,
it isn't the case. You're the one who's fucked up. You fucking apologise. I'm sorry how this came across. Like, mate, it came across racist because it was racist. You know.
Yeah.
Politicians are great for that. The apology. I'm sorry for how this for how people took this. Mate, I mean, like Boris Johnson. They're going, well. Muslim women look like letterboxes. I'm sorry how people took this. I took it as a racist fucking thing, because that's what it was. Because
you are racist. However, right. It is. I think it's a generally interesting point in the current climate. Is not the right word, but sort of kind of societally how we are at the moment is that. It's interesting that you said about the fact that there's a third of the nation calling for him to be lynched, and I think it's a bigger sort of symptom of this bigger issue that we don't discuss anything anymore, that we make decisions on people and we won't talk about it, we won't have a discussion. And it's interesting. I agree that how something is perceived is the most important part of a discussion, but I do think that how something is intended has to be a factor. I do think that this situation is made less volatile by the fact that he said it was stupid. His intention wasn't to be racist, and I think that has to be taken into account to some extent. Your intention, because I think everybody makes mistakes, and I think that it's really easy, especially when you are a white middle class person, I think, or it's really easy to not to understand the experience of others, because how can you? And so I think we end up with not being able to learn or make mistakes, because if you do make a mistake, then you're out.
That's the problem with social media. I mean, I'm a firm believer. Do not argue anywhere where you can do an emoji. I think that should be a rule for life. Everyone should know this. If you can do a smiley face or a winky face or a fucking shit, don't debate that.
That's your top three, is it?
Place. Just the first three that came into my head. I haven't done my.
They're
top
on your
three
most
emojis.
used section.
I don't do emojis. Thank you very much.
Next time I message you, I'm going to send it in emojis, like modern day hieroglyphics, and you're going to try and work it out. Smiley face, winky face, poo.
You're going to have to wait a very long time for me to reply. If I do at all. But this when we're using social media as our moral compass, we're fucked. Absolutely fucked, because there's no subtlety online. There's no thought process. There's only reaction. Only reaction. You can only have reaction, and this is where we do not see. We never allow anyone to. If we are so black and white about everything, as we are on social media, then we'll never grow as people. We'll always be stuck where we are, or we'll push more people to the far right. Now, I do have the issue comes to it's difficult, because if someone goes, you call everyone racist, you're just making me more racist. That's not true.
Yes, no, I agree.
It's not true at all. If me calling you a racist makes you more racist, then I hate to break it to you, I was right. I just was. That's it. It never happens with anyone or anything else. You don't call someone fucking fast and then they get quicker.
No,
it never happens. But we do need to just step away from social media. It should be there solely for celebrating Ed Balls Day. And it was a day that Ed Balls
tweeted his own name.
Yeah,
sure.
Celebrate that. And occasionally something witty.
But you see, I think it can be useful in terms of somebody having the ability to share a story that wouldn't have got out if they...
Whistleblowing, fantastic.
Exactly. So I do think it has a use. So maybe it's more of
a experience and things like that. I think is a really valuable
that you wouldn't
thing.
have found if a journalist doesn't deem it worthy.
Well, yeah, exactly. Well, look at the Me Too movement. That wouldn't have happened without social media. I think shared experience is a really valuable thing. I think it's all symptomatic of emotional politics. And our society feeling that our feelings are much more important than what we know and what we think. So we become led by our hearts, and that's really nice and important in many, and sort of sounds really lovely, but it's massively detrimental to a functioning society.
Yeah,
are our feelings important?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I think our feelings are important. I just think they're not as important as actual facts.
Wouldn't you argue that that majority of the time your emotions and feelings are what powers your opinions, which can help progress change?
I mean, my show literally this year is "Fuck You and Fuck Your Beliefs," so no.
Oh my god, that's so you.
I mean, I'm not. I get very angry when people talk about their feelings and their beliefs when it comes to majority of decision making. I think decision making should always be facts mixed with morals.
But for somebody to come to that decision making, so say if it is somebody in politics, will they not be led by somebody who has campaigned based off an opinion and a belief and an emotion they felt to campaign for change?
Yeah, I think the morals
you make a valid point, and there's a lovely news story that goes along with this.
Oh, is that? That's coincidental.
It's amazing. In Georgia, over in the US, a new abortion law called HB 481 has just been signed, due to take effect in 2020. Effectively bans abortion outright, declares fetuses to be people with full legal rights and protections, and imposes prison sentences for women found guilty of aborting or attempting to abort their pregnancies. So you can have jail sentences, even capital punishment, because you are deemed a murderer if you have an abortion. And this came along with people's fucking feelings. See how it all turns in together?
Because all of them are always negative. There's never a positive outcome that comes from that.
Show me a positive news story this week about people's fucking feelings, because we're talking about this week's news.
Okay, yeah, fair.
Then I'll agree with you.
I'd be really interested to know if Georgia is also going to institute support for working mothers and, you know, child support for children. You know,
and
for
rape
children.
victims.
Yeah, for rape victims. I imagine. No, because as soon as that child is born, then they
It's so presumptive of you, though, Lucy. For God's
less interested in them. I just find this so fucking depressing.
It's so backwards.
Yes,
like we're going backwards.
We've had this discussion. We won this battle. Why are we going back over it? You know, I mean, I appreciate that's how the people who voted for Brexit feel, but you know that we've.
Well, I mean, the difference is facts, of course, but
Yeah, no, I mean, sure, but
facts are great, but
just like, oh God, really, we want to have this discussion again? You know, our parents' generation had this fight. You know, our grandparents' generation battled for legal abortions, and now we've got to fucking do it again. Fuck off! Oh, it's just like a fucking treadmill of bullshit.
Never understand how you can be so advocating for, no, we need these people to give birth and have life, and then don't support anybody who has a life if they're female. Like, oh, it's all right for you to give birth, and you should do that because that's your purpose. That's your only purpose in life. But
it's being forced to. That's it. If you're pro-life, then you are forcing people, because you're not giving away free contraception at all. You're just saying, right, your options are either not have sex or have a baby.
Yeah.
Which seems like terrible options, really. Really bad options.
Doesn't go well for anyone, I don't think. Yeah, well, but you know, but it's just another story, you know, in the sort of the chipping away of women's rights and, you know, sort of what's the word, self-efficacy, I don't know, like the story about the athlete who
Caster Semenya,
yes, who has been told she's got to take drugs to reduce the amount of testosterone in her body because it's an unfair natural advantage.
And then when it was another male athlete, and it was just
the swimmer. What's
Michael
his
Phelps, wasn't it?
Yeah, Phelps.
And I was like, oh, what great genetics!
Yeah, yeah.
How isn't he lucky?
He produces about a third of the amount of lactic acid.
Yes.
And they were like, lucky old him. But with her, they're like, no, cheating. You can't be like a man. That's like being good at stuff. Stop it. Stop cheating. Stop being a man.
It's interesting that they do not like drugs unless it makes you worse in athletics. Very strange. So I suggest everyone get on ketamine for the next Olympics, you know, because it's not going to make you faster, is it?
I would watch that.
But because that goes alongside
3-day eventing.
Yes.
But I mean, that's what they want, isn't it? You know, as long as it doesn't make you better, it turns out that we can make you worse, give you drugs for it. I mean, you're 100% right. There's with her. However, that was a story from. Not this week.
Was that last? I saw.
For God's sake.
Sorry, I've let the team down.
I'm going to mow your face right now.
That's the worst chat line I've ever heard in my life.
Bet you any money I can make it work.
With my vagina. That's the rudest thing I've ever said.
Lucky it's not filmed.
That's a fucking lie.
Lucky no one will hear it.
You said to a chat-up line, and I did.
That's this week's news.
I'm shocked, Ashley Haden.
Oh, God.
Quite proud of myself.
Well done.
Anyway.
Good for us.
You having a nice time, Ashley?
Did you want to move on?
I'm having a fun time. I do want to move on because I've got lots of... Do you two have any other stories?
I was going to talk about the fact that Boris Johnson said this week that this is my favourite thing. So Boris Johnson said this week that another Brexit vote would be doing the SNP's work for it, because basically he's saying that if we have another Brexit vote, that basically would secure another vote for Scottish independence, which is like bollocks on so many levels. because everybody else has said quite rightly that if we proceed with Brexit and it's the kind of, you know, mother of all cock-ups that it looks like it's going to be, then that is much more likely to secure another Scottish independence vote, because they're going to go, well, we didn't vote for this, and we want another go. but Boris Johnson's sort of like flinging about, clutching at straws and going, if you support another Brexit vote, then you're basically saying that you hate Scotland and Britain and also that you're a terrorist. And he's sort of he's clutching at things that are going to sort of to with no, like, shockingly, with no intellectual or informational factual background. He's just sort of firing bullshit into the air, which is, so unlike him.
It is, yes.
I reckon there's a good argument to be made with the likes of who we see, the Boris Johnsons and the Jacob Rees-Moggs of this world, that Eton should no longer be allowed to be called a school. Because it doesn't seem to actually make anyone smarter.
No.
It doesn't teach them anything. All it does is seem to teach them how to be a cunt.
Yeah, you're absolutely
Life
right.
will do that enough for you with the money that they have.
Yeah, but the best thing about all of these people is that I suffer really badly from imposter syndrome, right? So this week in Lucy News this week,
Okay.
my other half and I have just bought a business, right? That's proper. So we bought a stained glass business. It's really exciting. I mean, I say we.
Glass business?
He's bought it because he's got some money, and I do this.
I'm a comedian.
Yeah. But it's amazing, really exciting. So I'm now a person who runs a business, right? That's kind of cool.
That's very
But
cool.
I tell you what, I'm fucking shitting myself because I'm an idiot. I don't know what I'm doing, and so but all my life I've suffered with really bad imposter syndrome. So whenever I've been in a position of authority, or like being someone who's supposed to be someone that's good at something,
Yes.
I think, I'm not supposed to be here. But nothing is curing that more than the current cabinet, any the political classes.
It's impressive. It
So
really
I'm
is.
like, are you like, hang on a minute. No, they've got no idea what they're talking about or what they're doing, and they're in like positions of genuine authority and power. And so I find myself going, I could probably do that.
I'll be all right. I get a pocket square. I can rock this. It'd be all right. It'd be fine.
Yeah, but so in some ways, every cloud has a silver lining, but also, oh my god.
While we're talking about Boris Johnson, just on Brexit, because we do have to talk about Brexit, nothing's changed. So that's that.
That's that
Move
update,
on to
thanks.
the next one.
Mm-hmm.
Arguably nothing's changed. I mean, like 2 things have changed in the past 3 years.
Tusk said that there's like 30% chance that he reckons Brexit will get cancelled.
Yeah, but that, I mean,
that was always the case.
Someone's
maybe.
always saying that every week. It'll be cancelled because
but-
they want someone to like them.
nothing
I've got a bit of a
has
crush on
changed.
Tusk.
You
I
want?
mean, that's
Really?
weird pick.
Tusk.
Tusk. Yes.
Tusk.
Tusk. It's weird.
I was going to say something. I was going to make a really good joke about because you went Tusk, and I was like, sorry. I thought you were like tatting. Never mind. It's funny. Tusk.
Yeah.
Tusk.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Good. Fun.
I went to open another G&T and I came back and it was still Tusk. Tusk.
Tusk.
UKIP are holding a leadership election after the EU elections. What? Who can be worse than who they've currently got? Who's our front runner for it? Who do we think?
A bag of shit.
Whittaker.
Brexit Party.
Oh yeah, Brexit Party. It's not UKIP. It's different. The same,
Who
but
do you think?
different.
Skeletor, maybe.
Mate, oh.
Tinky Winky. He's a fascist.
Is he?
Yeah, probably.
Why?
Is he the purple one? I thought he was the LGBTQI
Isn't
one.
it blue?
Is it?
Or is he purple?
Tinky Winky's purple, isn't he? Is this what you were imagining when you had decided you'd have 2 female comedians to talk on your political content?
You're not,
Podcast.
I mean, you're not the only female
Women.
comedians I've had on.
No, I know, but all right.
Why is Tinky Winky a fascist?
What do you want, a badge?
No, I want the respect I deserve.
This is what a feminist looks like.
No, it's not. I hate everyone.
Oh,
Uniform.
fine. Anyway, worse leaders for UKIP. I mean,
Could it be Stephen Yaxley Lennon coming back? Although he's
To be honest, that seems like the most logical
has
choice.
Stephen Yaxley Lennon got a political party?
yes, he's the UKIP gang rape plusser or something.
What?
Is that real?
He's something. Yeah, he's something. He's like a consultant about gang rape or gang rape gangs, something like that. He's pro gang rape. That's what we know. As long as they're white, big on that.
Okay.
He can fucking sue me. I couldn't give a shit. No one's willing to accept his fucking money. He did attempt to pledge his hypothetical MEP salary to child and women charities, and they all told him to fuck off. Beautiful.
But I know this is obvious, and people have mentioned it, but why? The majority of the UKIP party running for MEP positions.
Because you can do.
Yeah, but members of European Parliament, that thing that they're wanting to get out of, they're like, but I want a job in it.
Because you make a lot of money.
Yeah, I know that bit, but...
No, but that's it.
Yeah, but...
I know, no, they hate it. I grant you, and there's nothing more mental than Farage wanting to get out of
But is it also not just because that's what they can get? Because like being an MEP is like the Mickey Mouse version of being an MP.
Oh yeah, I mean the thing is especially with first past the post, which we have in our democracy, which makes it not really democracy. You can't. UKIP will never win a fucking seat. Whereas European elections, that's proportional representation. They've got a much higher chance of actually getting somewhere. So that's why UKIP got like 30% of the votes
it's not
last
them
time.
Winning it, I'm questioning.
Well, yeah, but
it's the running of how you could possibly go as an advocate for we need to leave Europe. Oh, but I'm going to run for the European seat. That's me as a feminist being like, oh, I want to go work at fucking misogynist Kerr over here as private. Just I can't think of a logical point, but it's just ridiculous.
You're quite right. You can't, but you're trying, and I respect that.
I'm so hungover.
It is literally because it keeps them. It keeps everyone looking at them. Probably gets them onto question time a couple of times. And
they just want to get people to look at them. They could do what I do: just stand on the table and take your bra off.
I'm not sure how that would work with mostly straight white men, and they all are. I know they've got a couple of minorities in there, but they
haven't
are
given it a go, though, have
they? I think they pay them. It's ridiculous.
Really?
I mean, it's very strange. Very strange. Right. Next story. 1 in 4 teachers have said that they have seen pupils being illegitimately removed from schools in an attempt to artificially boost school performances.
Yeah.
This is called off-rolling.
Yes.
Yeah?
I'm aware of this. I've worked in schools loads.
And
have you?
Yeah.
Now, that's my sort of...
What's the reason for? Is it just because of school league tables?
Yeah, it's because everybody's shit scared of Ofsted. It's because it's all just so depressing. It's because everyone's really, really scared of.
You didn't come on here to have a fun whale time. It is a depressing hour of satire.
Did you say a fun whale time?
Yeah.
What?
Got a problem with that?
Just checking. Yeah. Fun whale time.
That well-known idiom.
Me and Shamu having a great time.
Anyway.
I use language how I wish to. Thank you very much.
That's your right. Anyway. Yes. So off-rolling is where you sort of try you put kids onto roll in another school, I think, so that they're not on roll on yours when they do their GCSEs. It's all part of the sort of I mean, there's some seriously dodgy stuff going on in schools, especially in multi-trust academies, multi-academy trusts.
I don't trust them at all.
That's like frightening stuff. And I mean, if you sit down and talk to any teacher, so any secondary teacher particularly, now it's, there's some frightening stuff going on.
It's the privatisation of our education, isn't it?
Yeah,
Simply
absolutely. Yeah. They tend to turn it into a money making.
Because it does seem on a complete level. Because when I was going from primary school to secondary school, you had to do that thing where you chose which ones you wanted to go to. But in Hull at the time, they had this idea of taking kids who'd got good results in their SATs from good primary schools and putting them in shit secondary schools with the idea that would make the secondary school better. Not improving the secondary school, but that was their ideology. Really? Yeah. And my mum basically, I can say this now because I've got my education, but lied about where we lived to get me into another school, so I didn't have to go to that one. But that was then, and it doesn't seem to have got better, that nobody's gone, we should just invest in the school. And it's...
Yeah. No, I mean, it's anything from this sort of off-rolling. So if your kid's not going to make it, not going to get great GCSEs, instead of back in the day, brilliant vocational, teachers, who work extremely hard with kids who find maths really, really hard and take them from a fail to a scraping a D. which for that kid is going to be a
huge,
massive achievement. Yeah. Those kids now wouldn't even get the chance to take if they're not going to get an A to C grade, they're not going to. It's not even called an A to C anymore. Do you know that?
No.
No. So some GCSEs are now 1 to 9.
Oh, get in the bin. I ain't got time for this.
So a 9 is an A star.
An A star.
Or like this is a super high, and it goes down to
astrology?
1. So some of them are 9 to 1, and some of them are graded by letters. I mean, so I a lot of my friends are teachers. One of my really good friends is a deputy head, and her son did his GCSEs a couple of years ago, and it was the first year that they'd introduced the new system, and it was just a total balls up, and she sent some of her son's GCSE papers off to be remarked. Now, she's extremely well educated. She's got a great job. She works in education. And it was extremely difficult and really complicated. And by the way, you have to pay to have your papers regraded. Oh, if you don't know how the system works, if you don't understand it, or if you haven't got 50 quid per paper to send off, you get the money back if the grade changes. But if it doesn't, you don't. If you don't know how to do that, that's completely impossible to system to negotiate. There's a situation now where in multi-academy trust where well-paid, experienced teachers are being squeezed, they're being put on capability, which means that they're being constantly observed until they slip up, so that the academies can get rid of them and then pay 3 NQTs the same amount of money that this experienced teacher was being paid.
Yeah.
And people at schools employing, teachers that aren't trained to do the job. Same as we've had for years. Enormous class sizes, not enough support. Whoops, sorry. It's frightening stuff. And there's nothing funny about that.
I've been looking at schools, especially academies, for years, trying to make it funny. Because I think it's incredibly important. Academies are faux charities. They're set up as charities, but they're not charities. It's just a way to not fucking
businesses.
And
also they're run by people who like. So there's like some of the there's Harris Academies, there's haberdashers. These are people that these are
haberdasheries.
There's a haberdasher. Asks, I think is a multi-academy trust. But some of these, I can't remember whether it's Harris or haberdasher. One of them is like a carpet company that now runs schools.
What?
That's not a
thing, is it?
Exactly. And schools have to give away, not get money for, but give away their land to these academies. So these academies own over 15 billion pounds of English or UK land as a charity. So they own that now. School got nothing for it. And then they use things like top slicing. They pay all the directors lots of money. If they want to, so if they're buying like new books, for instance, new textbooks, or say if they're doing a little bit of redecorating, then the contract that they'll hand that to, I don't know, maybe a carpet company would be a good one to do all of that. And so they end up paying themselves to do work. If they would need textbooks, they'll pay themselves. They'll set up a company that does textbooare, and so they'll end up paying themselves to do the textbooks.
Shit a brick.
Right, it's absolutely disgusting.
Yeah, well, also schools are paying for building refurbishments and stuff out of their budgets. So they do it on or they rent the. So like a big company will come in and do the refurb of the building, and the school will basically renting that building off this company for like an agreed amount of time, and they have to. And anything that goes wrong, they then have to pay to get it fixed. So schools are in massive, massive debt as well, just because of the system.
It's a version of PFI. It's a version of PFI that happened with the NHS, where the privatisation of the NHS would be like, instead of the government paying for this hospital to be built, what we'll do is we'll pay this company 30 billion over 7 years to build it for us, or like 7 billion over 30 years, so that they'll build it for us. They own it. but it makes it look like we're paying a lot less, so our bank balance, the budget looks better. That's what the government did. That's what PFI was. It was a way to make it seem that our government was doing better for the economy and better with their budget, and what they'll do is actually just spread it out for longer. So they pay less in 1 year, but they're paying 5 times the amount over 30 years for the payments.
Cool.
So
I feel really reassured about our educational system.
Education's
and it's the worst. It's desperately sad because I know lots of really, some of my best friends are teachers, and some of them are brilliant. Some of them not so much, but some of them are really brilliant teachers. But like so many brilliant teachers I know are looking to leave the profession, because why would you want to do it? It's the more work for less money, for less, and people, and then on top of that you've got smart ass bastards going, oh, you get the fucking summer holidays.
But that's stemming up to university as well, because one of my mates is a lecturer at a uni, and that mentality is spreading up. So you have this similar thing at universities now, especially because with the students as well, who are paying so much money now and are like, I don't care about what I learn, I just want to get this grade so I can get a job and being able to express opinion or enjoy learning. And universities are having the same system where lecturers are being overworked and underpaid, and the universities having to run as a business rather than an educational facility. And it's horrendous.
Lower the university fees, yes or no?
I think university should be free.
I think it should be free.
I think all education should be free.
Yeah. It's social.
I agree.
Mobility and and the spread of the economy.
I don't
is much
think
better
any
if
people should pay to learn something, and I think you should. When you can then get a job and pay back, that's what pays for the next people. I think it's a pay it forward service.
The issue comes with that is it's the same type of thing that happens with the pension, and then you see where probably inverse, because with the pension it's we pay for the national pension for the older, but we've got an ageing population, and so you'll get to a point where there isn't the money. So what you'll have is, in the end, all the old people are paying for the university of the only young person that's left.
Well, they're going to have a great time.
Get to do absolutely everything.
£1 shots for them.
Fantastic. I think that it should be free, but if we're going to, but I do not think it should be lowered from where it is at the moment for the 9K. It's either free or it's where it is now. Mainly owing to the fact that if you lower it, say if you move it down to 6K, if you move it down to 3K, the person that you're helping the most are the people who pay back, which is the rich. The rich are the ones who pay back the tuition fees.
I mean, I went to university, drama school.
I put on a hat for you.
I do a fantastic
fuck off, got a degree. Got a degree, no one cares what it's in. In fact, that's my other point, is that part of the problem is that you can go into university to study so many more different things now than you could 30 or 40 years ago. Now you can go and do the social sciences. You can go and do like a degree in, sort of kitchens.
That great degree.
Or like towels.
That Wix degree,
and that's sort of, I suppose, I think, well, maybe you should streamline. Well, there should be less pressure on to go to university. I think, there should be.
I agree with that.
You shouldn't have to go to. People go. When I was doing my A levels, you went to university. Most of my friends were like, "Well, I don't really know what to study. I'll just go and do history because I sort of quite like it." And it's like, well, what are you going to do with that? And I think there shouldn't be quite so much pressure to go to university. There should be other avenues.
Oh, there's certainly vocational apprenticeships, stuff like that. Teaching children that you don't just have to have a degree in something to be of worth to society, and there's respect to be had in making things, even if you're a carpenter, a plumber, or something like this. You are still respected in society. You are still doing something of worth, instead of it being, well, did you go to university? No, well then you're scum. Which, I mean, I never went to university. I didn't do A levels. I got shit GCSEs, and that was it. And so I've always had a bit of a chip on my shoulder with regards to anyone who went to university.
Sorry, I've always thought of you as scum. So,
Yeah.
but that isn't because you didn't go to university.
No. Such fun.
You're welcome.
Have we got any other news? 'Cause I got tons. I've got some good news.
Go on then.
This week was the first week in a century that our energy was done completely without coal.
Oh, I did see that. That was quite. That is good news.
That's a good news. It's a continuation of hopefully attempting to save the planet before it's too late and we all die.
I mean, that's not going to happen, is it? But
Or
it's nice. It's nice that there's a moment of hope.
Saving the planet.
Yeah, no. I think, people are going to... Well, because... there's a borough... Is it somewhere in... I don't know. There was a Lib Dem-led council that voted to open a new coal mine recently. And this week, I think it was. And the Lib Dem was like, oh, come on, the Lib Dems. I was sort of... I've always been a Lib Dem at heart, right? I was born and raised in Lewis, which is Norman Baker's constituency. So I'm a diehard Lib Dem, really, until the last few years.
Until it died.
Yeah, until it died. And then I was like, I'm like one of those football supporters that I'm like, don't like that team anymore. But I was kind of getting a bit dragged back in because I was like, and then I read this, I was like, oh, come on, because basically they said, oh no, like the need for jobs and and in the economy is more pressing than the worries of climate change. That's why we voted.
Sure, they were Lib Dems and weren't just mentally ill.
Well,
same thing.
Yeah, I mean, I can't remember where I read it, so.
Because it doesn't.
I mean, probably someone on my Facebook. That's where I see most of my news.
I can't see anyone who isn't like proper right wing would say that jobs are more prevalent than saving the planet. Because the fact is, you could have all the jobs in the world, but if we're all
you and I know
drowning,
that. But unfortunately, a lot of people who go into politics, local or national, are just dicks, and all they really want is people's love and affection and votes. So they'll say any old tripe.
Oh my god, are you saying like politics is like being a
know.
comedian but with no jokes? Like they're just looking for validation.
You should never have a politician tell a joke. It is one of the most awkward things in the fucking world. They have
Or
no
do a
pacing.
dance.
Oh,
Let Theresa May do a dance. She's not hurting anyone, and that makes a fucking change.
it's not even that's when they go on Strictly.
Oh god, I mean, if Anne Widdecombe, when she was lifted up, should have been fucking dropped.
Mate, it's when they just swing
I'll
around the
never
floor
forgive
like she's
Anne
sweeping
Tontibet
for
for that.
landmines.
Right.
It's fucking horrendous.
He should have
Like
fucking.
a landmine.
It's just horrendous.
It's all awful.
That's what I came round for. That herp and optimism. Just to clarify, it's all fucking awful.
I'm really suffering from some like neck and shoulder tension, and it's basically the world's fault. I know that's the most millennial thing I've ever said. I'm technically just
going
about a
through
millennial.
deep heat because of climate change.
Yeah, because I'm really worried. I keep thinking, oh no, I've got I've got stepkids, right? Because I don't want to organically push any of my own out.
Fair.
But I've got these ones that I get to borrow for half the time. And I keep looking at them and thinking, oh God, poor you. I mean, you're so entitled. You're so entitled, and you've got so much optimism and like about the world. And you're like, yeah, things are going to be great because I'm a child in the early 21st century, and therefore I can do no wrong. And I'm like, the world's so shit.
I mean, there's a very solid argument to be made that if you actually want to help save the world, then you should kill your stepchildren. Because
I feel that would probably cause problems in my relationship.
Oh, maybe. Nothing that a bit of couple therapy won't help.
Well, so I'm fostering quite a good relationship with like his ex, their mother, and I feel like maybe that would set that back a little bit.
Well, I mean, we've got an option: either kill children or kill the old. They are the only options that we have left. We don't have anything else because we need us alive to be able to do all of the fixings.
I don't know. There's quite a few people of working age I'd cull out.
Yeah,
well, you'd still need them to work.
Depends what they were doing already. There might be an old person who'd be better at working than some person of.
There aren't that many old people that do great at recruitment consultancy, And
you do know that's not what I do.
I don't know. I'll be honest.
No
I don't
idea
know
or
what you
care.
do. No.
You look like a recruitment consultant, though. That's what you sent me. You
No,
look like.
I said recruitment consultancy because that was the first thing that came into my mind. You know, it's not all about you.
That's a lie.
What? Change the title of the fucking show for you, should I?
Thank God someone's adjusted.
We'd all have a podcast if we had a friend with a.
Oh my God, everybody having a
with a
podcast.
sound thing.
Ridiculous.
Oh, this is the thing. I mean, the reason I started this is I wasn't being told I was a straight white man enough. And I thought, you know what I'll do?
Yeah.
I'll start my own show. Then they'll tell me. Then they'll all tell me.
You're not allowed to have an opinion.
We'll tell you in emojis.
46 million dollars. No, 46 million of Australia's new $50 notes
This was
have
brilliant.
been printed with a typo.
Oh, brilliant.
Yeah.
It's such a fun story. They spelt responsibility wrong, which is just, if you're going to pick a word to spell wrong, responsibility as a typo on its $2.3 billion worth of money.
Have they identified the person whose fault it is?
Oh, you just know it's like someone called Jeff who came in over in the office. It's like, has Jeff done the notes yet? I don't know. He had a pretty rough one last night. Like, and he's just gone, fuck it.
Yeah, but imagine how many people have looked at that. This is I feel for Jeff because I went on the People's Vote March, right, and I had a really good sign. I was really pleased with it, and I was really hoping I was going to get into
What was your sign?
a list. My list said "Once more with feeling," right? Brackets, but this time with integrity, honesty, and no lies on a fucking bus. Right? Shut up. Shut up! It was a really good sign. Fuck you. And I went through the whole day, and people were like smiling at my sign. I was really pleased, and I was really hoping that I was going to get in like a picture. No, people were like, although they were smiling more. My Jack Russell came with us on the march.
There it is.
And he had a little sign that said, "Not even a people, still want to vote."
Nice.
But I was really pleased with my sign, and I was hoping that people were going to tweet it, and it was probably going to go viral. And then I looked at a picture of it. I tweeted my own picture of it, like really proud of my sign, and then I tweeted it, put it out there into the stratosphere, and then realised spelt integrity wrong.
Oh no!
I've never been so close to suicide in all of my life.
Shit's a prick.
Thing, if you look hard enough, you'll probably see that it has been picked up by the internet, just not the side of the internet that you want.
Not the one you usually follow.
It will be like 50 signs that spelt wrong, and then yours would be there.
Oh no!
No.
I would.
It would be
I
woman
don't
who
know
looks
how I'd
after
cope with that.
woman who looks after Jack Russell should have it taken off her because she can't spell.
Yeah, illiterate people shouldn't be allowed Jack Russells. I mean, normally I would support that, but oh dear, it's something because I really pride myself on having jolly good spelling and grammar.
Jolly good
Yes.
spelling.
So yeah, I've never been so ashamed.
Yeah, quite right, really.
The People's Vote March. It seemed like such an enjoyable thing, and I'm pleased that people went. I didn't go because there's so many people there, and I don't like it either.
And he'd
I
lick all their hands,
I needed a
probably.
wee almost immediately.
Oh, that's awful.
So I had to sort of circumvent quite a lot of the march to find somewhere to have a wee.
Isn't there pubs?
Or a McDonald's.
No,
Did
they're
you
all
find-
rammer jammer ding dong.
Mm.
So we had to go to. It's not very interesting. We had to walk to near Charing Cross, where we've got a friend who's got a shop, and so I went there, and so we sort of managed to circumvent most of it. We sort of went to the beginning bit and we're like, "Ray!" And then we went to find a loo, and then we went down to Trafalgar Square and went, "Ray!" And then we sort of missed the next bit and went to Parliament Square and went, "Ray!" So we sort of did the march light. It was nice.
I'm not. It just.
I can't believe it's not
nothing.
March.
Yeah.
It did nothing.
No, it did nothing,
It
and it was a bit
achieved
like,
nothing.
"Oh, well, we're here," but
People go on about like, "Oh, we had 1 million people march against the war in Iraq." You know, it still happened though. What you did,
Yeah,
you
no, it's
achieved
pointless, but I
nothing.
think-
You went
but I
for,
do think
you
that
went
it's
for
good
a
to have-
fucking stroll for an afternoon. That's what you
But
did.
what else would you want people to do
I
to illustrate?
haven't found the right way to
alternative.
do it yet.
I'm
I'm
working on it.
considering the right way to do it, and I haven't found it yet.
Right.
you have to
When I
stand up.
do, I will tell you.
Cool.
The reason I went is because my favourite thing in the world is to say, "I fucking told you so." And so I just wanted to make sure I was there, and I took a photo of myself with my badly spelt sign so that when it all goes to shit, I can stand there and go, what did I say? I fucking told you so.
It's literally already there.
Yeah, but
It's
I mean,
all
like,
shit.
when it goes to shitterer.
Assuming
I
there's
can't.
more.
I mean,
shitterer.
it is going to get worse, isn't it? We're going to leave without a deal. Oh,
Well,
God.
yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
Parliament won't allow it, so we're going to go against Parliament, and everyone's going to be claiming democracy whilst we're going against Parliament, and irony is going to fucking envelop the world and destroy it, and it's going to be beautiful. I will be pissing myself laughing.
But think how good your Edinburgh show will be when that happens.
No, because it'll happen on like the fucking 1st of August, just before my show. You know, that's when it's going to happen. It's always going to happen just before my show. So I have to either rewrite the entire show, or my show's going to be perfect, and the world's going to end.
Perfect.
Absolutely fucking perfect.
Oh, do you know who I feel sorry for? Gibraltar.
Is it because they didn't want it? They're incredibly close to the rest of Europe. Some may argue, actually part of Spain.
Don't tell the Gibraltars that.
Yes.
They very fervently believe themselves to be British.
Yes, and if they believe themselves to be British, then I say they're British. I've got no qualms with that at all. But it turns out that we don't give a fuck about them.
No, and that's it. And it's love. By the way, everybody goes to Gibraltar. It's very nice.
It is. They've got monkeys there.
They have, yeah.
That's the selling point, is it?
Yeah, they've got a big. So basically, it's.
What do you want?
Well, I don't know.
Rocks and monkeys.
So there's
Cool.
there's like a big rock in the middle, like a big sort of. I mean, it's not a mountain. It's like
not.
a tiny mountain, and
A hill.
Well, no, because it's not made out of grass. It's made out of rock.
Can a hill only be made out of grass? Can you have a rocky hill? What would be a small
No.
mountain? A mound? Or is a mound just gravel?
Yeah, I think so. It's like a tiny mountain. Well, that's why they call it the rock, don't they? Because I reckon somebody was like, "That's a mountain," and someone went, "No."
Definitely.
Yeah, but
mountain.
a mountain is a mountain. It's,
Oh, right. Well, thanks for that, yeah.
Oh.
A mountain's a
Thanks,
mountain.
David Attenborough.
Oh, wow.
Anyway, and they've got
I've never eaten turtle.
They've got Barbary apes on the top, which very sweetly my stepson thought I'd said Bargary apes, which is my favourite thing that's ever happened. Bargary apes. But yeah, and you sort of go, there's all sort of history. There's
history.
There's all sort of history.
A mountain. We don't know if it's a mountain.
And also,
monkeys.
my other half, his other half, because he won't marry me. He had a fight with a big monkey. Over
Physical
a packet
fight?
of crisps.
Well, I suppose it wouldn't be a verbal
No,
one,
it
would
wasn't
it?
verbal. Yeah. They didn't have a debate.
Is this a mountain?
So there's all signs saying don't feed the monkeys, don't get food, don't eat while there's monkeys around, right? And kid one went, oh, I'm hungry. So my other half James went, all right, I've got some crisps. And I went, James, don't get the crisps out. And he's like, it'll be fine, because he's a straight white man, so he's like, obviously, I'll be fine. I got them, and then this out of nowhere, the biggest poxy monkey you've ever. They're not. You're not supposed. Probably not supposed to call them monkeys. Don't know.
I don't think they care, mate.
They don't give a shit. Appeared out of nowhere and was like, like, oi, give us those are mine, thanks very much. And then they had an actual tug of war with a packet of crisps.
I've
I was
done
like,
that
just
before,
give me
then.
the crisps. And there was somebody.
Were they salt and vinegar? Because I would do that for that.
I can't. Yeah, they were like those little chip things, and
Chipstick ones,
like little chipsticks. Yeah,
bloody love them. I would do that for that.
You don't. Yeah, they had a tug of war with a packet of crisps. I was screaming because I'm hysterical, and there was somebody else who was just millennial enough to think to get his phone out and film the entire thing, which I was very pleased with. And I said he's going to put that on YouTube and it's going to go viral. And my other half, bless him, very optimistically said, "Oh, do you think that maybe he'll put man has fight with monkey and wins?" I said, "No, he'll put idiot gets crisps out." But so there we go.
I love
so
that was his dream. Like, do you think he'll?
Yeah,
put
like he
this-
was really optimistic.
Like,
It was
I
going to
beat
be
a
like
monkey.
man has fight with big monkey. I said no.
That will definitely
Idiot gets
happen.
crisps out.
All right, we're gonna get on to.
Sorry, we strayed off the news then, didn't we?
No, don't worry, because I've got no more upbeat stuff, so it's just going to
Shocking.
start getting depressing now.
Good.
The Times.
I'm just going to cough. Hang on.
No, don't worry. The Times has did a headline. The headline was 75% of up to 75% of births in England were born to women from outside of Britain. Now, that headline is what I would call dog whistling racism, because they want to. They put the biggest number and they say, well, outside of Britain, then no one's British. Actually, it's almost 30% of births in England were to women born from outside of Britain in 2017. Now, also there was a study done, by the FT a couple of weeks ago that said that 40% of Britons think you cannot be British if one or more of your parents are not born in Britain. Now, do you believe that this is the case? Why do we think like this? What is it being British? Answer any of them if you want. All of them? None of them.
A, B or C.
I think that nationality is utterly arbitrary.
Yes.
I think that it's not like gender or or anything like that. You're if you decide that you are a nationality, I think you can just go for it. I couldn't give them. I don't care. I think it really.
I think being in the country helps. I can't turn around and just go, you know what, I'm
Portuguese.
Atlantean.
No, you can't say you're Atlantean because Atlantis is not real.
There's
it
no
is.
proof.
Yes, there is.
What this one's told
But I
me.
think that depends because sometimes.
Yeah, but if you want to say you're Portuguese, fuck, research Portuguese. I don't give
but
it.
it doesn't-
What does it really matter?
The whole point of this is that it creates a form of unity within a group, and that is helpful for humans. That's what we need. We need to feel part of something. So if you are
I'm
like,
having
I used
a second
to,
gin.
I've already downed mine. Catch up.
Oh.
But like for example, I used to travel a lot, and sometimes if you're away, finding like a group and it'd be like, oh, we're like expats or basically immigrants in another country, but we call ourselves
I missed
expats.
my mouth.
Lols. You would have that unity of you had a common interest. So I don't think it is necessarily being in the country. I think it's like what you said. If you identify as that because you,
It's utterly fucking arbitrary.
Well,
We're all humans, and
Yeah,
I
but-
don't
think
think nationality
necessarily-
just because we're all British doesn't mean that we're going to have anything in common.
exactly. I'm
if
not
I'm
proud
on holiday,
to be British, but I am proud to be from Yorkshire, for example. So if I find another Yorkshire person, I'm like, wee, like it's something that you create. Why are you looking at me disgusted?
No,
like, oh
no,
god, she's
I'm just-
northern. I didn't realise. As I missed my mouth with my gin out of shock.
Well, this thing. I mean, I'm a firm believer. It doesn't matter where you're. I agree to a point that if you believe you're from a place, then you're from that place. Because you've got the issue that in this country we do not want. We keep on saying we want people to get involved and what's the word? Not infiltrate.
Sleeper cell? Where are you going with this?
No, to get involved with the community. Right, so what's the word? Oh, I can't think of the word. Integrate, that's the fucker. Thank you very much.
you out.
Kind. But we don't actually want people to integrate. What we want is people to assimilate, which is a different thing. We want you to come in and be exactly what we tell you, which history says is not what's best for the country. We want you to, the word you said, and I've already forgotten it, that one. Thank you very much. For now, if I point to you, just say integrate. It's fine.
Okay.
It's fine.
It doesn't work when. Oh, it does work when I do it.
It does, but
just delayed. So why are we continually pushing this? If you're not like fucking bleeding red, white, and blue, and if your family aren't 98 times from Britain, you're not actually British, type of stuff. What's the reason in this country? Why are we so like this?
it's massively ingrained as well because going back to schools, one of the requirements for Ofsted is that you have somewhere in your policies or on your website that how you install British values in as a school.
What are British values?
Yeah, exactly. I mean, it enrages me because I just think it's divisive is what it is. Even down to the fact that, and that's the reason why I wasn't looking at you with disgust. It's confusion. It's partly because I'm from the home counties and therefore, and so I have no identity. Other than like, I don't know, bowls.
But that's what I think it is. I think it is the reason you go, oh, we have to install British values is because we need an identity, because, to be honest, I think the reason this is happening is because we don't feel confident that we have one.
Well, our identity is based on utterly erroneous things.
It's based on fake history.
Yeah.
Precisely. And nobody's addressing that or going, do you know what, it's okay that actually, it's not okay, but like, you know, we can look at stuff and appreciate that it was negative and we need to work on that, or we don't always have to be the hero and then feel proud of that, because I always think that's what it feels like. It's especially with conservative politicians do this a lot, like, oh, we should be proud to be British, look at all this historical stuff that you did. It was like, what, colonialism and killing people? I'm all right, cheers babe. Like, I think we
also,
don't know what
it's so difficult though, isn't it? Because, you know, it means, because if you go down that line, nobody's. I'm not, by the way, because obviously I know it wasn't this week, Free Upset, but obviously Piers Morgan had a massive tantrum at that young guy because he'd said that you know,
Churchill was a cunt.
Churchill was a dickhead. That's
Churchill was
paraphrasing.
I don't like him.
No, you know, but I think, and you know, but this young guy's point was, by the way, Churchill does some pretty shit stuff. Well, even down to the fact that baby Archie has been is Mountbatten, isn't he? And that, you know, and Mountbatten did some
Mountbatten Windsor, yeah.
Yeah, well, I mean, this is the thing. I mean, Churchill was a racist.
Yep.
As were a lot of people at the time.
Classist.
He was a classist. He was scum. He was needed for that time.
Yes.
Absolutely. Because do not forget, the person before him was appeasing Hitler.
Yes.
That's it. He was there for the time. Fucking Gandhi, when he went over to Africa, was a massive racist. Everyone's a cunt. I've been saying it for so long, I'm starting to feel no one's fucking listening.
Yeah, but
You know?
yeah, that's it. I totally agree, and it's. I just think it's interesting because it's what like we talked about at the beginning. It's this black and white thing that people we need people to be either good or bad, and we for some reason as a species we can't cope with grey areas. We can't cope with the idea that Churchill could have simultaneously been really good for the Allies, really good for the country, and a dreadful human being.
Yes.
Because everybody wants him to be either reviled or revered. You know, we don't seem to be able to have any grey areas. Like, you know, people. So Danny Baker losing his job. I mean, I'm not saying that's not right.
Full circle.
Yeah, you know, but because he has to be either a good guy or a bad guy. You can't be like a guy. You can't be a guy with some. Like, I've got a mate, right? He's a really nice guy and he's helped me out loads. Cheats on his wife all the time.
Brilliant.
I mean, don't say his name because we're going to have to cut it here because we're at the end. So our apologies.
I don't think he's sorry.
No.
I don't think it's the end.
Do you have anything to plug?
I'm going to Edinburgh this year, and at the time in August, hopefully it'll be a show. It's not at the minute, but
what's it called?
It's called Louise Atkinson. Sounds good, looks a mess.
Okay, where is it?
It is at City Cafe.
What
at
time?
3:40 in
Done.
Edinburgh.
Yourself?
I'm also going to Edinburgh. I'm doing a show called Lucy Fredrick Fantastic. It's about being a step parent, brackets massive legend. That's not the actual title, but it should be. And it's on in Edinburgh. It's on at 2:50 every day at Underbelly Clover, and I'm previewing it in Brighton at the end of the month, and 2-3 places in London.
Fantastic. Right, final piece of news that didn't have time for. US is sending an aircraft carrier and a bomber task force over to the Middle East because they want a war with Iran, because they want a war. What else have we got? In Xinjiang, more than 24 Islamic religious sites have been partially or completely destroyed since 2016. And that goes along with the millions of people in concentration camps that they've put in for Muslims that they call re-education camps, but they're not. They're concentration camps. Awful fucking government. What else we got? Universal credit is bad. There's some news on it, but I can't be able to read it all. Shares in G4S fell, which is good because they are fucking dreadful. Over in Turkey, you've got authorities have scrapped the result of the vote for the Istanbul mayor because it's a dictatorship. That's that really. You know.
It shocks me why BBC have not contacted you to do the 10 o'clock news.
Yeah.
Do you feel like you need some music over the back of this?
No, I'm nearly done. I'm nearly done.
We'll put it in black and white.
You've got Qatar sending 480 million to Palestine. which isn't bad, because they've done the worst attacks between Israel and Palestine since I think 2013. 25 Palestinians dying, including 2 pregnant women and 4 Israelis die. But there's a ceasefire because you got the Eurovision going on, and who wants a war during Eurovision? And in the Peterborough by-elections, an attempt for a Remain alliance collapsed because Labour are utter shits. So I want to thank my guests, Louise Atkinson and Lucy Fredrick.
Do you?
Do you?
Do you want to
Yes. Yes, I do. And as always, you can watch all of my stuff that's available, Bandcamp and Next Up and all of that. Bye.